West of What is a roundtable conversation inspired by Mother Earth's call for more landwork ceremonies to happen. This is a podcast where spirituality lands into politics, history, culture, and more because land is where we all meet. We want to know how we can come into greater connection with the land and each other, and how we can all move forward with integrity. We believe the answers and solutions will come from many voices, from the truths that happen inside of our togetherness. Hello and welcome to West of What, and I am truly honoured and delighted and excited that the amazing Kathy Mingo is joining us on the show today. I have to say that she's got to be one of the best channels in the whole world, and one of the most accurate channels that I have ever had the privilege of working with. And her knowledge of what's going on is from very, very high and cosmic perspectives. And I have to say that over the years, Kathy has been incredibly generous with channeling for land tantra and land tantra projects, and I owe her endlessly, as does many lands. And so I am truly honoured to say she's here. I'm so excited to see what is going to unfold in this conversation. And the intention for this episode is that your mind opens, your heart opens, and your truth opens.
Well, thanks for that.
Wonderful. Every word of it is
eulogy.
Every word of it is true. Where to begin? I kind of want to go right in and be like, what's your thoughts on Third Eye Atlas?
I have some thoughts on that, interestingly.
But maybe we should wait for it. So you're a channel, you're a medium, and you're also really a crop circle hunter. And I just want to ask, did the channeling come first or the crop circles come first?
Channeling first. Crop circles were a manifestation of the ethereal into the three-dimensional. The mystery became prevalent with the crop circles. Not so much this year, because it all went very south this year, sadly.
What happened?
Ego took over. It all got a bit dark and a bit nasty and away from the harmony of what it should be. So,
and is this in the crop circle community?
Yes. And there's always been an ownership of the glyphs, the circles, the patterns, the geometry, whatever you want to call it. And there's always been a kind of real division of man-made, non-man-made. And no one's looking at, for me, sorry, cattail, for me, it doesn't really matter if they're man-made or non-man-made anymore.
Well, I was in a crop circle this year. Actually, because of you posted a crop circle and we were like in the right part of the country, and I was like, let's go. And when I was in the crop circle, my guides were saying that, there's no crop circle that isn't assisted. So even if it's man-made, they're being assisted by spirit anyway. There isn't a crop circle that, and they were kind of saying it's not one or the other. It's like all crop circles, most of them have a bit of human assistance and a bit of spirit assistance.
100%. But we've got a kind of division now where the men that are making, men and women, because there are female crop circle makers as well. It went down a path that was in ego and bitterness and anger. So I think upstairs, the higher energies that maybe assist have probably just looked down and gone, well, we're trying to convey a message here, and you're taking it to a level of baseness and banality, and that's what happened this year. So there weren't that many this year.
And what do you think the role of the crop circles are?
And I'm only speaking for myself, of course. I think in 1998, 1999, 2000, literally you could go to Wiltshire and there would be 15, 20 crop circles. You couldn't visit them in one day because there were so many. And the geometry was really expansive. I think it is a consciousness expanding message. And then it's petered out, especially over the last 5 years, I would say. But the one I forget where it was, there was a standing stone and it was in a kind of cradle, and there was a water tower that was a lookout where you park your car. That probably was the one that you went to, was it?
No, the one I went to was in a race course. That was then a farm.
Yes, that's right. The Gallops.
Oh yeah, the Gallops. Yeah, that's the one I went.
Yeah. So that one had a very interesting. Was it the Witch's Knot?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one, there was a standing stone right on. So it was in a kind of natural caldera, if you like, and there was a Neolithic standing stone right beyond the crop circle, and that standing stone looked right towards the church, the medieval church. So the crop circle was kind of slap bang right in the middle.
Wow. And what do you feel that crop circles do?
I love that one. I feel it's so difficult, this, because for me, the energy in it was beautiful. But was the energy in it beautiful because it was in a beautiful ley line? It was between this church and the standing stone in a the landscape was stunning. I do feel there was a lot of phenomenon there.
I felt that there was a lot of energy there.
Lots.
I think we were the first people to get to it. Like you literally posted it and we were like, go. And the farmer was like, this just appeared.
Yeah.
It was so nice. And and there was magic. I mean, like when you sat in it, it was like, it was really magical. Yeah. It was undeniable. It was,
yes.
It was not like sitting in a field, it was like full of energy and codes and light and everything.
Yeah, because you bring up a good point. You could go into the middle of a crop field anywhere and sit in the middle of it, and you're not going to get the same reactionary response. There's something about the geometry, the landscape, people's intentions being put in there. It was weird. We were sitting there and some famous YouTuber, I'd never heard of him, but he came trampling through and it was all a bit weird. And I thought, this is great that, it's getting so much exposure, but they were talking about things that in the crop circle world, we were talking about in the, 90s and 2000s, like, bent nodes. There's all this thing about if this crop circle is real, you'll have the stem of the crop circle, the stem of the wheat, and that wheat will have what's called an expulsion cavity. So it's a hole in the kind of wheat. And the belief is that it's a microwave energy that literally forces steam out of the center of the wheat and creates a expulsion cavity. And also that the nodes, instead of going straight up, the nodes are bent slightly. So there was a bit of that going on. But also in a normal field, you'll get nodes of wheat that are bent. The expulsion cavity is an interesting thing. I didn't see it when I was there, but I don't go on my hands and knees looking through every bit of wheat like researchers do. I just take it for what it is.
I
So
mean,
is it? Oh,
go ahead.
yeah, I was just going to say. So is it true? I mean, I always heard that you could tell the difference between humans doing it and non-humans doing it based on the quality of the crop and the condition it was in. So the theory was that, when there was alien assistance, that the crops were like perfectly bent and intact, but when the humans did it, they were broken. Is that true or?
Yeah, there's an element of truth to that. On some crop circles, you can on the wheat you'll see kind of marks like lines, and that line mark is where they stamp down with a plank. So the edge of the plank kind of creates a line across the wheat. But I went into one called the Dolphins, and that to me, the wheat looked like it was interlaced. There was no damage, and there was it looked like water flow. It was stunning, and there was synchronicity. The farmer, to be fair, the farmer was so angry we were in there. He was actually like, he had a shotgun. He was he had a red beetroot face, and I thought he's going to literally keel over, heart attack here. And some man went up to him and he went, "Listen, man, this is all our land." And I was like, "Well, no, he's going to." So I kind of tried to sort of become an intermediary and went, "Look, I'm really sorry. I am trespassing. I couldn't help it." So we calmed him down a little bit, but he shot his gun in the air. So we made a hasty retreat.
I mean, in some ways, this show is very much about land, and it's like crop circles are a brilliant definer of whose land is it anyway. Because you can legally own land, you can be farming on land, and then something can happen on your land that you don't want to have. I feel like in this country, particularly this, every bit of land in England is so owned. There's such little common land left. And there's something deeply refreshing about the fact that you don't get to own everything about land when it comes to crops, that you have no control of the crop circle's going to appear in your field.
Yeah. I mean, I just didn't want a shotgun in my arse, so that's why I was compliant. Because he looked like he was on the edge. But no, it's true. I mean, they shut the Stonehenge, you've got the drove behind, where everyone used to sort of park up. They've shut that for months and months. It's open now under the guise of Wiltshire Council tarmacking it.
Wow.
But it was closed all through winter, summer solstice. So they're trying to sort of stop wild camping. They're trying to stop people having access to places, where you don't have to pay £28.50 to go to Stonehenge. So
yeah,
there's a lot of elements to that, I think, with a lot of this.
And what do you feel the crop circle? I mean, given that you're so passionate about crop circles and you're such an amazing channel, you must have channeled about what these crop circles are doing.
I have. It's a bit. It's changed. The channel has changed, or I've changed, depending on who's evolved. Have I evolved? Have they evolved? Have we evolved together? I don't know. So initially, it was like they were Earth and sky energies, for want of a better word, that were in a commingling. So the geometry of the Earth and the geometry of aliens, for want of a better word, would commingle, would co-create, and then this pattern would go down and what I call a real crop circle. It looks pristine. I did a night watch it's called Golden Ball Hill because oftentimes there's balls of light that are seen there. Okay. So we were on a night watch, and in that kind of early 2000s, there were people on all the hills watching the fields. It wasn't like they weren't being watched.
Right.
So we stayed up on about 3:30 in the morning. We were begging about and having tea and all of that, and took our eye off the ball. And then by about 4:10, when the lights started to come up, there was a crop circle
Really?
right in the field that was not there the night before. We didn't see head torches, didn't see anything. So when we got in there, there was a man already in there with a Geiger counter. And he said to us, he went, don't spend long in here because the radiation's high. And it was. So how does someone with a plank of wood and rope create a radiation field? There's so many anomalies with it that for me, I know there's man-made ones because I've been told there are. And, you know, when you get a drone person that always gets to the crop circle first, you know they're being told where it is. But it's the ones that you can't, that aren't being told about. I mean, there'll be crop circles this year that weren't discovered and they just get cut out, and that's that. So I think there's a line between them both.
I mean, presumably spirit also tells people where the crop circles are. Though.
Yes. Yep. People have manifested them. We've done it ourselves, where you've put a kind of pattern and manifested it using crystal bowls and sound, and that crop circle has arrived. It never arrives just as you require it to be, like spirit, right? They never give it to you exact, do they? But co-creation of crop circles has happened for decades. It's well documented.
And do you think that's part of how we come into co-creation with the land? Should we be creating crop circles? I mean, land work involves loads of code.
Yeah, I think we should, to be brutally honest. If it's done in the spirit of oneness and fairness, not in the spirit of ego. And I think that's happened a bit this summer. That's happened a bit.
Can you talk more about that?
Without legally, I have to be careful where I go here. And that's all I'll say about that. There is issues that have been raised this year that have involved a legality issue. I feel like because the crop circles have started to diminish slightly, they're not as prolific. You know, like I said, in the 2000s, every field you looked at, you could see it. They're quite rare now. So I think they've gone down to less than 20 this year. You know, in some years, we're talking about 40, 50, 60. Mm-hmm. And I just think not man as in men, but humankind have kind of diluted the message so much that it's just become, how it's mirroring what's happening in the world at the moment. Everything is divisive and everything's dense and dark. So, you know, there doesn't seem to be as much light and magic. Does it make sense? And I kind of feel with the crop circles this year, that's reflected slightly that a bit of the magic has been lost. But that's life. That happens everywhere. Maybe crop circles are just going to morph into something else.
Is it possible that maybe the crop circles have more or less done the majority of their part as we're shifting into this new earth, and it's probably not as needed quite as much? Because, you know, when I spent some time in the UK a couple of months ago, I was there with Kahreela, and the energy there was amazing. And speaking to other people there, they all agreed that it was different to other times, and it really felt like that heart chakra energy was really bursting at the seams. So my question as well is, unfortunately, I couldn't see any crop circles then. I believe it was because of the time of year. But my question is, why does the UK have such a high density of crop circles versus anywhere else?
Heart chakra of the world.
Yeah.
But also the ley lines have a lot of chalk. So the chalk to water ratio creates what is called an aquifer energy. So especially in very early morning and sunset, the Earth's electromagnetic kind of reacts with the chalk and water. And someone did a graph. The majority of crop circles go all along the Michael Mary line, but also the chalk lands and the chalk landscape. So they're pretty much dotted around the chalk and water. which creates an electromagnetic conduit. That's what I think. But I also think, being the heart chakra of the world, I think the message is going to come from the heart. I do.
I mean, there's something interesting about chalk as well, in terms of just from a land point of view and a magic point of view. Chalk is one of those energies that's used ceremonially to clean the slate, to clear the story. And so chalk by its nature holds the blank page energy, or, white is like storyless earth, right? And so if you want to bring new consciousness in, what's the most neutral thing to bring it into if it isn't chalk, is what I'd say from a land work point of view. No?
Yeah, absolutely. I think every country's had one, I think.
Really?
Don't quote me on that, but I think, and Doug and Dave, the two men that conned the world and said they made all the crop circles, went to every single country within a 5-year period, on every Friday night. I mean, do you know the Doug and Dave story?
No.
Oh God. So the News of the World, the Sun, the Daily Mirror, they all got hold of what was called the Led Zeppelin. It was a glyph that, when it was 1990, it was on Eastfield, which is right underneath Golden Ball Hill. It had over 10,000 visitors. And so, of course, the papers went with it and ran with it and went, this is aliens are talking to us. So the belief is that the MOD, the CIA, wherever you want to go with this, put these two men called Doug and Dave. And yeah, they spoke like that. They were from Somerset. So it was all a joke. And they did their own crop circles. So they said, we've made all of the crop circles.
All of them.
So they made one, and it was absolutely shit. I mean, it looked shit. And it was almost like, if you look at it now, you just think, people, they swallowed that hook, line and sinker, and then everything went quiet. So the media went quiet. Well, it's Doug and Dave, so nothing more to be said on that. So everything went quiet kind of ever since, really.
I mean, the thing is that the reason I don't believe that all crop circles are man-made is because man's ego is not men, but like the human ego is way too big to do something and not take credit for it.
Exactly.
Humans don't tend to do stuff without needing to take credit and probably money.
Yeah. No, exactly.
So it doesn't make, like, unless you're of service and you're working with spirit and there isn't a reason for a human to make a crop circle.
No, I mean, it would,
in secret, particularly,
one person was arrested once for making a human crop circle, and he stopped. This was so funny. He stopped making crop circles because he was allergic to hay and wheat. So there you are. There's so much disinformation within it, which suggests to me I know there's a real phenomenon going on. Mm-hmm. Because whether it's man-made or not, if you're just say you're manifesting a shape or a geometric shape, and you put that out into the universe, and a human maker then goes and puts that shape, that's telepathy.
Yeah.
Which is even more interesting, right? Because that would be human to human.
Yeah. And
either way you look at it,
you've sent a shape and turned it into a crop circle, right?
Yeah. So you've put a shape into the universe. That human maker has gone, oh, this shape's just come into my mind, I'll make that. So either way, it's magic. Yeah, I agree. And actually, humans are part of the magic. This is what this show is about, is we are meant to, I'm fully of the belief that the activism that is needed is magical activism. And it's not about just getting aliens to do it for us. No. It's about our ability to channel, our ability to be in conversation with the cosmos and the earth,
and create new templates for Gaia. And so, you know, just because a human's involved doesn't make it magic. It doesn't mean it's not magic, you know, like just because a human's involved, humans are highly magical.
Yeah.
So, and definitely if the human's not taking credit for it, then there's magic up for, you know, then there's magic. I want to divert slightly and ask, because there's magic in the air at the time of this recording. Everybody is talking about 3i Atlas. And you know, Kathy is
I have channeled about this, unsurprisingly.
I want to know what you channel, because Kathy is, I have to say, like, she is I've had many channelings with many different people, and I have never known a channel to be as accurate as Kathy. Like the accuracy and the details that Kathy can bring through about your life will blow your mind. And so,
thank you.
Like, but really, like, there are not many channels that can get names the way you can get like really specific details about things and say things that then happen. You know, it's amazing. And so I'm really trusting what you say about 3i Atlas.
So it's interesting. It's I know there's so much out there, and I tend not to try and get involved, because I want a clear aspect about, for me, you know. And obviously, so from what I've channeled, and it also said, I know there was it called itself Unamana. Now I know there was another comet, and we'll say that in inverted commas, but they called themselves Unamana, as in it had a name. It's an intelligent bit of kit. I'm going to say that. Whether it's a natural intelligence bit of kit, you know, do I think it's a spaceship encrusted in metal? Probably not, but I do feel it holds a plasmic bioresonance to it. So what it, and I don't think it was channeling. I think it was more remote viewing, if I'm honest. So I think there was a bit of remote viewing going on. It's perihelion at the moment, and it said when it goes behind the sun, where it will be in blackout for 6 weeks. So we won't know anything that's going on for 6 weeks, and then it re-emerges. And obviously NASA has said it's 100% it's a comet. Mars rover have taken a picture conveniently. But from what my understanding is, it's bringing in a new vibrational understanding. It's going to open up our awareness. It calls itself a harbinger. So it's like it's a heralder. It brings in a message. And I feel like the message is, when it skims our atmosphere, you know, not skims, you know, it's never going to slam into us. It's almost on an observance path. Mm-hmm. We're being kind of watched. And I feel there is possibly a negotiation going on with remote viewers in America with it, because I felt there was a bit of interference. I'm going to put it that way.
You want to explain about the interference?
I wasn't the only person that was tapping in.
Right. So
because it felt different than channeling. It did feel a bit more like a remote viewing exercise. And I have practiced remote viewing. So it felt a bit more clinical.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with channeling, some things can be, it can be light and hopeful. And I'm not saying it wasn't hopeful, because it really felt that it was. But it definitely, it's got a guttural edge to it. There's no doubt.
I mean, I another channel told me to channel it, and I haven't channeled it yet. So, but my initial instinct on it is that it's the sun is truth, right? And I feel like this, whatever it is going to widen our range of perception. Like, it's going to help us see the truth of the age of Aquarius, and it's changing our range of perception. That was my initial, like, boom instinct on it, that it's almost like changing the veils over.
It's punching through. Well, it said it's punching through the door of Amenti. Now I know the halls of Amenti, but I've not heard about the door of Amenti.
What for anybody listening, Kathy? What are the halls of Amenti?
So the halls of Amenti, where all of our Akashic records sit.
Right.
It was all to do with Thoth. And for the Americans, I would say Thoth, because that's what they call it. But I call him Thoth. All of our ancient encoded information sits within these kind of vibrational halls of Amenti. I suppose like a huge computer database. Does that make sense for if we want to go into that? And that's what I felt this was saying, that it's going to punch through all of our ancestors, all of our ancestral history, which has been so, well, it's been so inverted, hasn't it? Oh, God knows how many years. All of this is going to start to expand, like you're picking up on. It's an expansion. It's the truth, and not just the perception of truth, but the reality of truth. And I think our perception is going to change. And the doorway is obviously a portal point, because it's interesting. It's closest to us, and I know it's not that close, unless, of course, the trajectory changes, which it seems to be doing. Comes closest to us, I think it's December 19th.
Yeah.
Just before the solstice.
Just before the solstice.
Coincidence? I think not.
What we call the winter solstice in the Northern Hemisphere. To me, it's like the whole year gets integrated at that time. You know, the solstice point is where Gaia can digest all of the ceremonies, all of the planetary shifts, but everything that has happened. And it's kind of like the digestion embodiment moment. And I've noticed that, you know, every year it's always felt that, like, the ceremonies that I've been doing throughout the year, they land in the solstice. And this year has been so phenomenal from an astrological point of view, that this, and next year is so phenomenal as well. This solstice is the gateway solstice. You know, it's the gateway between ages. Got to be.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's just about wording as well, isn't it? And you know, I feel also it's got something to do with AI for some reason. That came in a lot as well, about the emergence of AI and hopefully the non-emergence of it from my point of view. But I'm a purist, so don't worry. But I do feel like our satellites are going to be a bit fried. I also feel like one of the parts of the channel was that we're going to have to go back to simplicity. Our reliance, we become reliant on convenience, and that inconvenience will end up truly hitting us. So basically what it was saying is everything's become convenient for us. Everything. We don't have to fight for anything or strive for anything. It's at our fingertips. And I just feel like Unamana, whatever you want to call her or him, is just going to come through and rattle and send a vibrational vortex of light through the cosmos towards us, beyond us. And it's pivotal. I'm quite excited about being in the UK at the winter solstice, because I think it's going to be a boomer.
Me too. Me too. I feel it's an important, I mean, wherever you are in the world,
of course,
where you are meant to be, but my heart very much feels drawn to be in the UK for this solstice.
Yeah, so interesting. So it's an interesting, I don't know, I mean, could it be a comet and why shouldn't a piece of rock have consciousness?
Mm-hmm. I mean, we know if you go to any shamanic culture, we've interviewed somebody that does tamascals, they say hello. When the rocks come in, they say hello grandmother, hello grandfather. So all of our ancient cultures understood that rocks have consciousness. Anybody that's been to Avebury will tell you that the stones chat to you. Why would and this is a giant one.
Giant, massive. But there is definitely cloaked. There's definitely an intelligence there. And I think NASA know it, and I think they're priming us, aren't they? They've already leaked UFO, UAP. That's all kind of been leaked to get us prepared.
Yeah, they're definitely preparing us for something, and they literally just came out saying that Earth now has 2 moons.
I saw that today. What?
Yeah. So do you think all of this is related? It is bizarre how they've just found a second moon. That is quite bizarre.
All related. I mean, David Icke said about 2 moons many years ago.
Did he?
But it's all related, and surely it's got to do with timing. And why would this space rock, aka cloaked device, intelligent bioplasmic core, be coming through at this time? It's a heralder for me. So it's bringing in a new vibrational consciousness. And it's interesting we talk about Age of Aquarius, because I've been channeling a lot about Ophiuchus, the 13th sign, who got completely dumped from Western astrology, and sits right at the center, the serpent bearer. So I kind of feel like astrology slightly might need a rejig, and I just wonder if this might come in with a bit of newer information.
For people that don't know about Ophiuchus,
I can never say his name. I call him I think it's Ophiuchus.
Can you just explain where that is in the cycle? Why it throws an astrology out? What? I mean, it's a part of the suppression of the feminine, but can you explain a bit more?
So Ophiuchus, however you say his name, I just call him Offie because it's just easier. He would be where Scorpio is.
Okay.
So, and he's got, I can't remember the exact dates off the top of my head, but I can find out for you. There's a window of time which would be, you would be an Ophiuchian. But the serpent bearer sits, and the serpent bearer is the dragon energy. So it's really interesting that we're coming into a synchronistic time, and Ophiuchus, the 13th sign, has got kind of dropped astrology wise, because it needed to fit into the 12 months and the times of the clock and the Gregorian clock and all of that. So the 13th element doesn't really fit the nice and tidy astrology. So he's a bit of a maverick, I would say. So I think if you're born, I can't remember, I'm sorry, I can't remember the dates, but there's a certain date that you would be, so you'd be in the age of Ophiuchus.
It's funny because I was listening to an astrologer the other night describing Third Eye Atlas as a maverick as well, and saying that Third Eye Atlas is also connected to Chiron. At the moment is in position with Chiron and Aries, which are the 2 mavericks. And so there's this theme at the moment in the sky that is like maverick time.
Yes.
And then it's interesting you've mentioned that, this is happening in what would be Ophiuchus, let's call it
Offie's time.
What would you say is a definition of a maverick?
Goes against the trend, non-conformist, us basically, what we are. But a maverick, I think, is someone that's got a heart that would fight for their belief. And I'm not just talking about shouting at each other in the street over politics or things like that. I'm talking about someone that would go to ground for their belief, that kind of resolute energy that this is so important, our purpose is so important that everything else pales in significance. I think we've lost that a little bit, that kind of fight for what we believe is right, whatever that is.
And in a way, I do feel like in the times that we're living on the third dimension, and you know, as I said to you, this show is about bridging the worlds. There is so much that we have to fight for right now, including some of our, in the West, some of our very basic human, you know, things that we have been born with.
Yeah.
That we associate as being human rights. It feels like we're about to possibly have to fight for almost what it means to be human. And in a way, we need that maverick energy. If that maverick energy is in the sky, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you need that. How do I want to put it? It's like, I felt it when I've done land work before, and it's like, in fact, I remember you put me in Kahreela, you don't have to do this, and I'm like, no, I have to do this. And it's like sometimes you have to be in that place where you have to do it no matter the cost.
Yeah.
No.
And I think it goes down to what do we value? Do I value my, and of course, truth is, everything is perception. I say this all the time to some, you know, a lawyer friend of mine. I'm like, you've got 12 people on a jury. They're all going to have a different perception, and you're going to put someone away or release someone on perception and perception alone. It's not truth. It's perception of truth. It's a concept, isn't it? It's, my truth might be different than yours. But I would fight. I think for me, freedom of speech is probably one of my top things, where I might not agree with someone, but I would fight to the death for their right to say it. And I think that's, for me, that's where I think humanity can help itself a bit. We can absolutely disagree, but we should be able to fight for each other's right to say it.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just, you know, shutting down conversation all the time with insult and, you know, echo chamber and all of that. And we're all guilty of it, I'm sure. But surely the fight should be taken so everyone has a right.
I mean, that's what's really scary about the UK right now, is the right to protest, the right to speak is being rapidly eroded.
Yeah.
And why do you think that is?
Because I think because we're the heart chakra of the world. And I feel like the heart's being suppressed. The throat is also being suppressed, and the heart and throat together. I don't think it's any coincidence that, and I don't want to, I think all political parties are the same. I've always said voting is like picking the colour of bullet you want to shoot yourself in the head with. I really think it's as basic as that. You know, it doesn't matter if it's the Tories or Labour, whoever it is. They have come in at this time to push an agenda that not many people want within a free speech, and especially with a digital ID. And I don't set me off down that path, because I never
let's
go
down that path.
Anyway, but I think it's so ridiculous. I look at it and you can see it's a pantomime playing out. And I feel like the more that they push and rail against the populace, the more people are going to go, nah, fuck this, not doing it. And I do believe there's a groundswell of people that are going, nope, I'm not going to do that. So in a way, and I also think Free Eye Atlas, or Unamana, whatever she wants to call herself, is heralding people's, that spark that we've lost, that on a three-dimensional level, that kind of spark to get our sovereignty back.
Mm.
Our divine sovereignty. And our divine sovereignty sits in the 3-dimensional and the higher. So I kind of think the timing of it's delicious. But basically, they can get their digital ID, they can wrap it up, and they can shove it where the sun don't shine, because I really just, it's a bit too far. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, us conspiracy theorists were saying for years, and I've been talking about this for 20 years.
You've been talking about digital ID for 20 years.
Talking about our erosions of our, you know, through channel, the erosions of our sovereignty, you know, about the social credit system that we're all going to be pushed down. You know, oh, you've been a naughty girl, you know, you've spoken out against the government, you'll get your social credit, you know, where I won't be able to, I don't know,
and were
go
you
to my bank
about
account.
this, Kathy, because you were channeling about it?
Long time.
Really?
I feel I'm very passionate about this digital ID thing. There's been this slow drip feeding. It's like a dog on a chain. So you've got a dog on a chain, he's got a long lead, but he's still on the chain. And just, you know, over the weeks and months, you just take one of those chain links away, and that leash gets shorter and shorter. And by the end, the dog's on a tiny leash, but doesn't realize that those freedoms and that area has been restricted. And I kind of feel like this has been going on. This is not just the Labour government, it's a higher agenda that is, they don't want citizens in sovereignty.
And what would you say is the best? I mean, that's apparent. Let's put it on the table. Whatever you politically believe, sovereignty is being taken away from us around the world. It's got to be happening in Australia, right, Ekbalu?
Yeah, Australia is actually very similar to the UK, in particular Victoria. It's very similar for sure politically.
And so it's happening around the world, particularly the Western world. And what would you? I'd like to know what you'd say, Kathy, about like how do we stay in sovereignty then?
I think COVID was the amuse-bouche to all of this. COVID was that little litmus test where they went, how far are people going to be acquiescent to an agenda? And I'm not saying that people didn't die of COVID, because I know they did, but it was definitely a psyop event in my view. And it just started to, I think the powers that be, well, they must have been rubbing their hands in glee at how acquiescent we all went. Well, not all of us, but, you know. And so for me, if we don't stand up, I mean, I say this, I'm fighting, weirdly, there's another thing that I'm fighting for, is the green belt in the UK. And I live in Epsom in Surrey, and I've sat through, and I know it's a different sort of thing, but on a micro level, I sat in council meetings, and the corruption was so evident. You know, when I remember we had a big sort of protest. We were outside Epsom Town Hall. We had mics. I was playing "We Shall Overcome." It was fabulous. We were singing. But basically, the council have railroaded through all of the green space around the area that we live in here. And there are bats, there are deer, and all of the wildlife. They just get round it. With the bats, they just cut the tree down. So you have to stand up. And I do it because I don't want to say that I didn't at least try. Whether it works or not, I don't know. I just think at least I tried. I haven't just sat and moaned in the background. I've got up and I've done something. So I would suggest to people, if you feel strongly if you don't, then that's fine. But if you feel strongly about it, get out and have your voice heard, because they're trying to suppress speech, whatever your speech is.
I feel like, it's funny, it's just coming through the field right now, but I feel like the land is how we are sovereign. back to the beginning of time, land is how we are sovereign, right? Like that's why war is fought over land. Like land is how we are sovereign, because land literally creates our sovereignty. Our physical body is our sovereignty. And without land and without the nature kingdom, we have no sovereignty. We are just energy. So land is the source of our sovereignty. And land can make us sovereign, and land can, you know, the magic and the power that the land can give us is beyond. Look what it can do. Look at the crop circles. Look what we can do. But if we are not prepared to stand for the land, then why should the land stand for us? You know, if we are not prepared to stand for freedom of speech, then why should the power of the command be ours? It's like if part of our spiritual adulthood is standing up for what humanity is. And humanity without speech is really boring.
Well, exactly. But I kind of feel like humanity's become so suppressed. People are kind of become quite inert, especially in the UK. I do feel the UK has this kind of feeling that, you know, it's not polite sometimes to make a fuss. It's not polite to, you know, be suppressed, be quiet. And I think that's kind of generationally been, I think that's breaking now. But, you know, I just think there's such a kind of, well, you know, I've heard people over COVID saying, and I won't go down the vaccination route. However, I've had people saying, well, you know, it's not going to do any harm. I want to go traveling. And my point with the vaccination was to have something enforced upon you against your will, against your medical sovereignty was my issue. And people were just like, oh, well, it's not going to make any difference. Well, it really has, because, you know, digital IDs next, you know, God knows what will be after that.
So it's kind of, if we don't hold this back, then the next thing, it's like the chain you described, isn't it? It's like, we have to protect. It's sad, but it's sad that we're in a position that we have to protect freedom, because freedom in nature is a God-given, earth-given birthright.
100%. But I kind of also feel it's quite exciting, because I feel like you know, I'm in my late 50s, and, you know, I grew up in the 80s when there was I suppose an aspect of freedom. We didn't have all of this. I just thank God we never had Facebook and social media when I was in my teens. I would have been cancelled immediately. But, you know, we weren't under the microscope all the time. We were allowed an essence of having a life, having a childhood. And that's been taken, I think, from children of this era. So they haven't really had to fight for something, because they've been squelched all along. So I feel like for me in my age group, it is, you know, I don't have children, but I would bloody well fight for someone else's children, because that's what's going to be left behind. What are we leaving behind for children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren? What world are they going to have to exist in?
Yeah, it's an interesting time, because, you know, energetically and spiritually, it feels like we are evolving into this new earth and things are heading in the right direction. You can feel it. But then on a 3D sense, the way politics and governments and technology are, it feels like they're doubling down, and it feels like there's almost no hope, because they're just going gun-ho. We had COVID, and now the digital ID, and it's happening in the UK, but it's already happening in the UK, but it's coming to Australia in December, where you can't even use social media unless you connect a digital ID. So it's a shame, because elements of social media has become the only source of actual truth, because like some parts are unfiltered and some parts is how you get this unbiased news. But now you need to prove your ID to look at that. So if you do comment or reshare it, that's when you get, you know, attacked or potentially arrested, because there's people in the UK that are literally getting arrested and going to jail for 6 months who are just simply doing a post. And we have this crime outbreak in Melbourne at the moment, which, like, we are such a safe city, but now we're spending, it's like $350,000 per machete bin. And they think that these people who are just attacking people now on the streets with machetes are just going to look at the bin and go, oh, I'm just going to put my machete in there. It's like, they didn't go to all that effort to get a machete just to dispose it out of their goodwill. So it's just an absolute clown show here at the moment. And yeah, it's crazy. And it highlights the corruptness of the government as well, because our government has this amazing habit of supporting these weird ideas and unions where so much money gets funneled through, and it just seems like corruption. And they're giving us rules where our superannuation, which you refer to as your pension, now gets taxed higher. But the people who put the policies in place, they're immune to it. And the people who put these policies in place, all the politicians, they get tax-free money. So they don't have to pay tax. So they keep raising all these taxes for us, but they don't have to do it. And then they're giving themselves pay rises as well. And someone like Dan Andrews, who shut down our state, who has made us broke, we are now in debt. He just gets to walk away, and he gets paid his yearly wage tax-free for the rest of his life. So he's now getting like $500,000 tax-free for the rest of his life for destroying lives, destroying our society, destroying our economy. And it feels like when you focus on the 3D, we're losing hope. But when you focus on the energetic side and the high dimensional things, it feels like we're heading in the right direction. So my point to all this is, do you feel like this, third eye atlas, or whatever you want to refer to it as, is this the dissolving of that? Like, has that 3D government control become so ridiculous that it's just about to dissolve?
I think it is.
Good.
I really feel that this digital ID thing, it won't happen. And it won't happen because people are going, stick it. In our council, there's no elections. We're not allowed to have elections. Not that I would vote anyway, but that's not the point. We don't. So the council is now an unelected council because they remove voting. So my argument to council tax was like, well, it's unelected, so why should I pay my council tax? If we all did it, if every single one of us went, right now, I'm not paying my council tax, it would change like that. But people are afraid of what the government will do to us. So I would put my hands up and go, if you want to arrest me, arrest me. I'll just start a little community in prison and like oranges are the only black.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel hopeful. I do. I feel hopeful.
Same, for sure. I mean, we all have to remind ourselves, we have incarnated here in this lifetime for a reason. And as much as it's a challenging time, it's a very exciting time. Even for me, I'm younger than you, but still, like, I've been around for the birth of the internet and social media and everything has evolved so quickly. But there's also this, transition into the new earth, and from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius. And it's easy to get bogged down in a negative side of things and feel overwhelmed, but it truly is such an amazing time to be here.
I mean,
Agreed.
I feel like it's our choice. The age of Aquarius is sometimes pedestaled in spirituality as like the golden age, which it could be because Aquarius has incredible qualities to it. But actually, all astrology has a range and has a shadow. And everything that we are talking about is typical shadow of Aquarius. The over-controlling technological reality, the lemming reality where there's no freedom and you're just going off the cliff for each other, all of that belongs to the shadow of Aquarius. So if we choose, and we have a choice within the astrological range to choose the type of the age of Aquarius that is community and ceremony and innovation and togetherness, or we can choose the digital ID reality. And this is why I love that you said, do it for the next generations, because what we choose really will affect.
It will.
it really, like, we are the ancestors of the age of Aquarius. And so we have to choose wisely for this. It's like we're picking from the field of Aquarius what ingredients are going to be in that age, you know? And I, for one, does anybody actually want digital ID? We'd love to hear from you.
There's got to be some people that do. Even my mum is 90 and she hears me banging on over and over again. And I said to her, and she was like, I can't have a digital ID. And I said because she doesn't know how to use her phone. And she got really upset and she said, what is it going to mean for me? And I went, it won't mean anything for you, Mum, because we'll fight for it. You know, and the irony is I have a passport and I have a driving license. That's all you need to know about me. And to get your digital ID, you have to prove and give your passport and your driver's license. It's insane. You can't get a digital ID without using your passport and your driving license.
Yeah,
that just shows you the paradox and insanity of it.
Yeah, for sure. And in Australia, it's quite a mixed reaction. I mean, first of all, there's a huge difference between prior to COVID and post-COVID. I think the government was always doing things so under the radar. It was only people like us, the so-called conspiracy theorists, that were cluing onto things. But it was quite discreet the way that they were doing things, and they've had this control for a long time. But since COVID, they've made it so obvious and public that a lot of people are actually starting to wake up, and there's been a big shift. Yeah. So the interesting thing about them doing the digital ID here is that you get people that are just like, oh, what's the big deal? It's just an ID. Yeah. And then you get some people who are obviously pretty paranoid about it. But here's the Trojan horse. They're saying, again, they pretend they care about people. They're saying that they're only bringing it in because they want to ban people who are under the age of 16 to use social media. Now, I'm a parent, and every parent knows that is an amazing thing. We actually like that. I don't want my child to use social media because you know how toxic it can be if you don't know how to navigate it. However, they're not making that restriction for pornography sites or anything like that. So if they really cared and wanted to make things age restricted, before you go to social media, you would think you would go to the plethora of porn sites, which are completely free and very easy to access, and is tearing apart the fabric of our society. But it just shows it's the same as COVID. They pretend they care about our health, you know, but they don't really care about our health in any other way. They just want to give us this so-called free vaccination. In America, they were offering Happy Meals for you to go and get vaccinated. So they care about your health, but then they're going to give you this, you know, food with saturated fats and seed oils to wash it down with.
They're offering Krispy Kremes.
It's shocking. Yeah.
Free Krispy Kreme if you got vaccinated.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, yeah.
And I need to put a little caveat in here because I was very, very vocal about vaccination. I would see everyone lining up and I would shout at people like a deranged woman. And it used to irritate me. And I kind of thought, I need to check myself a bit here because good, decent people have gone along in the belief that they're doing the right thing. You know, and I felt I had to check myself a bit before. Actually, you're being very judgmental here because I know people that were forced into it. Yeah. You know, and some people didn't have the luxury. I mean, I would have gone to ground for that. If I had been working in an industry that I would have got fired because I felt that strongly. But I know that other people maybe don't have that luxury. You know, and it's too late now.
And also, you know, ultimately, when I was standing against it, I was standing for people's right to have a medical procedure or not. I just didn't want it to be forced, you know? And it's like, actually, everybody had the right to decide about that for themselves. And as long as that was a decision, I was supportive. Like, I was fighting for the right for us to still make the decision. And I think that, you know, it got very messy on, you know, it got like, if you were against it, you were against people making medical decisions for themselves. And it wasn't. Most people I know that were against the vaccine were against medical fascism.
Yes.
You know, they were against not having the right to choose for yourself and the repercussions that would have in terms of medical capitalism. And, you know, I would have gone to ground for it too. I remember being like, I will die for this. Like, I am prepared to lose my life if it comes to that, because I don't want to live in a world where the right to choose what medically happens to my body is not there.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the beautiful moments I had with the coronavirus was realizing that everybody was actually being a guardian. You know, everybody making all of this noise, everybody was being a guardian of something, and that there were the guardians of the vulnerable people that were making really valid and important points as well, you know. And if we can recognize each other as guardians and understand that when somebody's making noise, they're making noise because they're being a guardian of something that is important to humanity, then we can get every single thing on the table, you know. Then because actually you can't be a guardian of everything. You know, if you were standing against medical fascism, you couldn't be a guardian of the vulnerable people because you were standing in that post, you know. And so it's almost like we have to see each other as guardians and listen to what somebody is being a guardian of, because I'm telling you this, the 1% are not being guardians of us.
That's right.
They are not. They can put their machetes in the bin. No one else.
It was such a crazy time, because this was a similar time to when it was so acceptable and encouraged to have these protests for women to say my body, my choice. But then when anyone else said my body, my choice for the vaccine, it was like, no, you're just a Nazi and a fascist. And it's like, do you even know what the definition of a fascist and a Nazi is? Like, to say that because I want to have my own free will in deciding to take something, and I consider myself a healthy person, but then they guilt you in saying, oh, you're putting all the elderly at risk. And the guilt shaming in Melbourne was unbelievable. We were the most locked down city in the world, and I was one of those people. I lost both of my jobs. I had a family, and it put a lot of stress on my family, to the point where I'm separated now. And fortunately, though, at the end of all that, my ex isn't vaccinated, my daughter isn't, and my entire family aren't as well. But it was very tough for us, and we were ridiculed for a long time. One of the jobs I had, I went back in to see them as friends, and I went to shake the hand of one of the people, and he just looked at me in disgust and refused to shake my hand. And this is someone I'd worked with for a couple of years, and the brainwashing was just unbelievable. I was looked at and treated like I was a subhuman being. And now all that time's passed, and the government's just like, oh, no, it was your choice. We never forced it upon you. And everyone's just gone back to their daily life. And unfortunately, in Melbourne, there's not that many people that were able to survive that, because it was a couple of years and we couldn't go anywhere. We weren't allowed to enter any venues. We weren't allowed to go shopping. We were stuck in a 5-kilometer radius, lost our jobs. It was so dystopian. And even thinking about it now, it's crazy. But I am curious to hear your thoughts, Kathy. Because I obviously held the same opinion as you two. Like, in my head, I was like, I would prefer to die than have this. And just something about it felt really wrong. Like, potentially it was going to affect my ascension process. So, Kathy, I'm curious what your thoughts are. What do you think the vaccine was doing to people, and do you think that people can overcome that?
I can say whatever I like, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
But I'm going to do a disclaimer that this podcast is inviting many truths to the table. Yes. We are not telling anybody what to think. We are not giving medical advice. We are not giving spiritual advice. We are not giving political advice. We are letting many voices express, because there is a truth that happens inside many voices.
Hello, sister. So spiritually, I need to address the I had similar to you. My dad had dementia at the time. And my mum was looking after him, and he didn't understand why my sister was looking at him through the window and why she wasn't going in. And I didn't do that. I broke the rules because I thought, my dad doesn't understand this. My dad is dying, and I am not going to allow a pernicious, psyoptic government, because that's what it was, and that's how I saw it right from the beginning, to stop me having a connection with my own father during the time that he was passing. Dee's, my partner, her dad died, and I'm not saying that this was the vaccine, but her dad had a brain hemorrhage I think it was about 2 months after his booster. And it was apparently a 1 in a million brain clot, that my best friend's mum had a 1 in a million. So do you know what I mean? There was a lot of links for me. And when we had to go, I'm sure Dee won't mind telling this, her dad was put on for organ donation. So he was on a machine, and Dee had to put the mask over, the shield over, to say goodbye to her own dad. And I went in with Dee, and I just said to her, just take it off, kiss your dad, take this. And I said to the A&E person, I'm not having a go at them, it was a terrible time for them. I said to the woman, she wants to kiss her own dad. You know, if she gets COVID, so what? He's not going to get COVID. He's already dead. Do you know what I mean? So she ripped the mask off, and it felt like a rebellion. It was ridiculous. But when I get people that come to me energetically in their auric field, I know if they've had a vaccine or not.
Really?
Yes. And I'm not judging. I'm not making a judgment.
No, it's just, what do you see? It's interesting to talk about it from the
It's metallic, so it sits interestingly where it sits. So on the auric layer, you've got 7. Well, you've got way more than 7, but let's go basic. We've got 7 basic layers, and the vaccine will sit in the emotional layer, which is really interesting because it's not sitting in the physical layer. Mm. And right. when someone lies down and I go into their auric space, it's gritty. It's the only thing I can liken it to. If you know, when we were at school and you had iron filings and you got the magnet, and all the iron filings would go towards the magnet.
Yeah.
That's how it is. That's how. So I always say to people, I go, right, I'm going to do your public health service, and I kind of clear the aura as much as I can.
And I want, because I also know, you know, I know some people that took it and they were in their power, and it was their full decision. And I believe that if you make a sovereign decision, then you are doing what the divine wants you to do. And then I know a lot of people that were pressured into a decision and didn't want to do it. And from my point of view, they're the people that have been more damaged by it, because whenever we do something out of alignment, it has greater consequence.
Yeah.
But it is there hope then? If somebody is like, I've done this and I regret it, you're saying that it can be removed from their energy body?
Yep. 100%.
Amazing.
I feel it's, you know, I don't even say to people, I do it sometimes. If I've got someone that just, I do it as a natural thing. So every client that I get, especially, you're right, I had a woman, she was in such a state, and she was a nurse, and she was forced into it.
Yeah.
And she was in such a state when she came, and I went, look, you know, it can be clear. Don't worry about this. There was a lot of scaremongering as well.
Yeah.
From our side, which, you know, and I've got to say that I kind of think I was bad for it myself. It was like every time someone dropped dead, I was like, thing. I kind of had to check myself a bit now and think, oh, people did die before it. But
people died before it.
You know, they did, didn't they? I mean, every time someone drops dead, I go, it's true, isn't it? We go, ooh, vaccine. And I kind of feel like it's not helpful anymore. Yeah. I was in the kind of sway of it right at the beginning, and I felt like you did, that everything about this was wrong. And I did Facebook lives during this. It's interesting. I'm in a crop circle film coming out next year. Don't ask, just don't ask. And he's saying to me, if you've got any of your Facebook lives, from that time. And I went to look today and they've all been removed. Every single one that I did during lockdown, which was critical of the vaccine and, Lucy, do you remember the kind of spike protein and all of that? So that's all been removed. I've gone off topic, sorry. So when I am clearing someone's energy, you can absolutely clear it. This is not a be all and end all for someone. It isn't.
And this is why that sovereignty is everything in magic. Like, when it comes to the energy world, your sovereignty is it's infinite what it can do. Your free will is the law of the universe, which is why the systems and the governments that are trying to take it away are having to work so fucking hard. Because it's actually a really hard thing to take our sovereignty away. It's a really hard thing to take our freedom away. It's really hard to take our health away. Like, great lengths have to be done. And even with those great lengths, they can be undone.
Of course they can.
If you remember that, then we can, then we become true guardians of what it means to be human.
Yeah. I do have a bugbear with people that are still blind to it, though, now, after all this time. So I've got compassion, but when you're a total idiot about it, I've got no compassion, and I kind of think, crack on. Do you know what I mean? And that's just me. But there's got to be an area where people go, hang on a minute, there was something really, Downing Street, we're all out drinking together, and we can't sit on the park bench when you have to sit. You could only have 3 people in your bubble. I mean, what the fuck was all that about? And if people still defend it now, I've got no time for that. That's just me being brutal.
Well, I mean, they've even come out and proved, like, the people, or specifically in Australia, the people who came out and made the rules for us, how you have to wear a mask, you have to social distance, you have to lock down, those same people have come out now and said all those things were wrong, and it pretty much had like the reverse effect. So a lot of people have health complications now, even people who weren't vaccinated, because we had this social distancing for so long. We weren't like adjusting to the normal environment and exposing ourselves to different germs. And it took a while for us to get over that. So I remember for the first year or two after that, I was getting sick every like few months. And it was so foreign to me. And it was really frustrating, but it was just because we weren't having that social connection. And it even affected my daughter as well, because she was born through COVID and pretty much didn't really see anyone except me and mum for the first, 6 months at least. And now she still has these like attachment issues where, we're separated, but she loves being around us. But if one of us aren't around, she really kind of freaks out. So she really needs one of the parents there. But that all stems from what these lockdowns did. It's not a human thing. I mean, through the tribal times, we were born and raised through a strong community, and community is everything. And we lost that in Melbourne. We lost that for 2 years. And we had neighbours snitching. Like, if we had a friend come over, we would have a neighbour call in and snitch. It was unbelievable how quickly everyone turned. Yeah.
And it just shows with you, Kahreela. Community is everything. If we haven't got community, we haven't got anything.
It's everything. And, the only reason anything is at risk, really, freedom of speech. Right to choose your health path, freedom of travel by the sounds of it, like all sorts of freedoms. The only reason any of those are at risk is because the community's cracked.
Yeah.
If the community's not cracked, none of the community naturally will be in guardianship of all of these things that are nature. They are the laws of the land. And trust me, you want to live by the laws of the land, not the laws of the state.
Absolutely.
I want to ask, how can we come back into ceremony with the land?
For me, land work's really important. Gathering, especially, places like Silbury Hill, that is the English pyramid. Well, that's what it's called. Going to these places, West Kennet, Loughborough, all of the Wiltshire area that I'm so linked to. I kind of feel like if you take a tribe down there, you just get pulled along with the kind of ancient lore of that land, lore as in Lore. And, that's how I think we can get back to it. And also for fighting like things like the green belt, I don't want to see a load of new builds, and it's all about greed. It's all about money, all about greed. It's about councils backhanding each other. It's about feathering the nests of the corrupted. And I want us to be the incorruptibles. So that's how I would see it.
The incorruptibles. I love it. And who should we have on this show next?
Oh, deadly silence. Who should we have? I tell you who would be very interesting if you could actually get her, would be Lynn McTaggart. She wrote The Field and The Power of Eight and The Power. So I was her nanny.
Ooh, will you put us in touch with her?
I will. Well, I don't know if she would do it or not, but she might. She
will.
But she wrote that the field of consciousness is everything. And she was a journalist. She's very interesting. Well, I will send you her number, and do thou what shall do.
Thank you. Thank you.
But she would talk about consciousness and quantum physics and all of that delicious stuff.
Thank you so much, Kathy. And honestly, thank you for the incredible work that you do. Even just clearing all of these vaccines out of people, and all of the guardian. I know you do lots of your own land work and guardianship of the land and collective consciousness work and transmission work and field work, and you help so many people. This woman is booked out 2 years in advance for her one-to-ones. Like, she is absolutely an incorruptible light in crazy times. So thank you so much, Kathy.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I've enjoyed it. It's been fabulous.
It's naughty. That's the best way. I mean, I think we're going to get cancelled a lot.
I don't think we said anything out untoward, have we?
What is the best way for people to find you?
So Instagram. I'm terrible at this. Kathy Mingo _aura. Facebook, Kathy Mingo. I'm on Mighty Networks, thanks to you and your amazing collective that you've been running for many years. And I just want to say right back at you, what you're doing is so phenomenally important at this time. There's not many people that put their arse on the line like you do. And that's what we need. You are a maverick, an incorruptible maverick.
Incorruptible Mavericks. That's what we are.
So yeah, my Mighty Networks is called Sanctuary of Alchemical Light.
Well, thank you.
So thank you both very much. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you.
May the land be with you all, especially those of you that are incorruptible mavericks. If today's episode touched your heart and you want to come into greater relationship with Mother Earth, visit landtantra.com and get involved. Your truth is part of this conversation, and we would love you to reach out on socials and let us know how it landed. And if it really inspired you, we hope you share it with others. Let's add more wow to our world.